It's Christmas in July, and we're celebrating at holidayslane.com. Our artisan ornament collections capture the essence of your best holiday memories. Each is meticulously handcrafted with color-coordinated, individually placed check glass beads, ribbons, festive toppers, and sequins, making each ornament truly unique. To view our whole collection, head on over to holidayslane.com. That's holidays with an S, where every day is a holiday.
Well, there's a party each and every year on Christmas Eve, where the fun and cocktail shrimp don't seem to end. Clark and Ralphie taking turns on the TV screen, laughing, singing, yelling with all of our friends. Well, it's Christmas, and everybody's gonna spread the holiday cheer. 'Cause it's Christmas. Oh, it's the best time of the year. Let's go fake reindeer.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Matt.
Dun, 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 dun. How you doing? Let's talk about. So let me tell you a couple things about Charles the Revenge.
Please go for it. Jesus
So-
Christ.
So there's a couple reasons why I'm picking this movie. Reason number one
It's fucking
is that the 35-year anniversary of its release is this week.
Yeah. Woo!
5 years
Congrats.
of Charles the Revenge.
Congrats, Jaws the Revenge. Yeah.
You did it. You made it.
Do you think Michael Caine is like, fuck yeah, 35 years?
Hey, I got a great Michael Caine quote about this movie
I
that we'll
can't
get
wait
into.
to hear it.
Also, I mean, it's what better Christmas in the summer movie could there be than a Christmas movie that halfway through the movie they're like, fuck it, let's just go to Jamaica. I'm also going to throw this out there. What we're talking about next week, this
Yeah.
is more Christmassy than what
Yes.
we're talking about
Yes.
next week.
I agree. We'll get there. We'll talk about that.
We'll get there. But I don't hate this movie.
I don't hate it.
This is a movie that people consider one of, if
One of
not the worst
movies
films ever
yeah.
made. So I think it's a bad movie. I'm not going to pretend that it's not a
Oh
bad
yeah,
movie.
it's not
This is-
a great movie.
This was my first Jaws movie. This was the first Jaws
Really?
movie I ever saw as a kid.
The only Jaws movie I've ever seen is Jaws. Like,
Okay.
Before this one, I've never seen 2. I've never seen 3.
2, you would like. 2,
Okay.
2 is literally like someone sat down and said, "What if we did a slasher movie with a shark?" And it follows like all of the pacing and the beats of a slasher movie, and it's actually a really interesting like experiment, and
Yeah.
it still plays it real enough in that one. Jaws 3D is just a sight to be seen for how batshit it gets. Jaws the Revenge is
This
just a
is-
mess.
This
It's
is Jason Takes Manhattan.
yeah,
Like,
this
look
is
at that.
this is Jason Takes Manhattan. So this was my first experience watching Jaws. This movie has been edited and re-edited and cut to shit. Like if you hop on YouTube, you'll be able to find like there was a version of this movie that had like a opening narration because they thought that
Yeah.
like they thought that the movie was confusing.
Since time immemorial, events have taken place with no evident reason for their happening. Such phenomena has been man's dilemma and the subject of constant philosophical discussions. When there is no factor motivating an event, no case of cause creating effect, what triggered the action? Fate or circumstances? What you are about to see concerns such an event. Maybe you can determine whether we are dealing here with circumstances or fate.
I just want to forewarn everyone during Jaws the Revenge that this is definitely a cell phone movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean by that is, listen, there's some bits that I missed, guys. Like I was definitely scrolling while this fucking movie was on.
Yeah, well, so, and that's why
Not
even when I
something-
texted you, I was like, you only have to watch the first like 20 minutes and then just kind of jump around because the middle of this movie gets boring as all hell.
Well, that was my thing, and I did tell you that like I said that I didn't finish it. That's a lie. I finished it. It was just playing on my phone while I was doing dishes and stuff like that. I started it yesterday. basically got to the part where they were at the Bahamas and turned it off, not out of spite, but just I wanted to do something else. And then today, while I was cleaning up around the living room and kitchen, I threw it on my phone, and it's a sight. It is a sight to behold.
So, and here's where I sound like a crazy person, because I actually think that this is my favorite looking shark in the Jaws series. There's something about the look of the shark in this movie who the fans have named Vengeance. I stumbled into a full Jaws wiki where there are different pages dedicated to each shark from each movie with the fan declared names for every single shark.
Okay, so explain to me how this shark relates to the shark from the original.
So let me pull this open.
Because, all right, so the premise of Jaws the Revenge, for those of you who haven't seen it, Martin Brody from the original has died of a heart attack. And his wife claims that he
Yes.
died of a heart attack because he was scared that the shark was going to come back for revenge. She's losing her fucking mind.
So here's the full breakdown. Vengeance. This particular shark returns to wreak havoc on the Brody family soon after he kills Sean Brody and follows the family to the Bahamas to avenge his father Bruce, his mother Brucette, his daughter Brusanka, and his grandson Baby
Yo,
Shark.
this shit ain't real. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Shortly after being shocked by the device that Jake puts down its gullet, the Vengeance shark roars, something that most sharks are not supposed to do. Vengeance was ultimately impaled by the Neptune's prow, causing him to spontaneously explode and sink to the
God.
depths. So there's a few other things. So here we go. Novelization.
Yeah.
So Jaws 2 and Jaws the Revenge both have novelizations written by the same author, right?
This was the voodoo shit.
Yes.
I started reading a little bit about this.
So Vengeance was the offspring of the first and second shark, having spent his time in the womb fighting off his siblings' attempts to cannibalize him. Vengeance emerged from his mother while she was being electrocuted at the end of part 2. Years later, Vengeance would return to Amity, first killing Sean Brody and proceeding to follow Elaine Brody to the Bahamas. Upon arrival, Vengeance came under the control of a voodoo witch doctor named Papa Jacques, who bore a hateful grudge against Ellen's other son, Michael. And that's in the novelization. That is like as officially canon as it can possibly get.
Let's see. When did Peter Benchley die? 2006.
So he was alive when this book was published.
Yeah. So he, do you think he has seen? There's got to be interviews of someone asking him, "Hey, have you seen Jaws of the Revenge?"
I'm sure they have. So here's the famous quote by Michael Caine that I want to bring up.
Yes.
So Michael Caine infamously did not receive, he could not appear in person to receive his Academy Award for Hannah and Her Sisters because he was in the Bahamas filming Jaws the Revenge. And someone asked him about that. They're like, how do you feel about the fact that you didn't even get to receive your Oscar in person because you were filming Jaws the Revenge? And he said, well, I've never seen Jaws the Revenge, but by all accounts, I'm sure it's a bad movie. But I have seen the house that Jaws the Revenge purchased, and it's beautiful.
Good for him. Good for him. I will say that Hoagie is the worst pilot you would ever want.
Oh, very bad.
Because if you're like, hey, come on up here, 5-year-old girl, and steer this plane.
Yeah.
Fuck no.
Yeah, you got this, kid. But I want to jump all the way to the beginning because the main thing I want to talk about when I think about this movie and I think about Christmas, which is what our focus is.
Yeah,
I do think about the opening of this movie. But my first big question, because I'm not a person who eats fish. Do you eat fish?
Yeah, I mean sometimes.
Have you ever seen anyone cook a fish the way that Elaine
Yeah.
Brody is cooking this fish, which is like head still firmly attached in the middle of what seems to be an unbuttered pan?
You're usually going to gut the fish, fillet it, not McDonald's style, but yeah, you're gonna fillet the fish and cook it in pieces. Not
I just
just a whole fish.
That blew my mind, and also that fish has some sharp ass teeth.
I mean, let's talk about like Elaine in general, or is it Ellen? Ellen in general. Ellen in general, who is batshit insane.
Oh yeah,
and has been for a long ass time. Was she this nuts in Jaws 2?
No.
She is very much
Unhinged.
insane.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here's the thing that I will say about this movie. I think
Yeah.
about the opening of this movie more than I care to admit. First of all, when I hear the first Noel, this is the movie that I think of.
Oh my
Like,
God.
because it's burned into my brain. Like,
I get it.
that
Yeah.
he's getting murdered. I think that the opening scene of this movie, for all the faults that you can give this movie, I actually think that the opening kill is actually very effective.
Yeah.
I'm like emotional watching him call for help and no one can hear him. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm putting myself in his mind, so much so that like I have gone to like Inner Harbor with my friends at night, and because I can't see anything below the blackness of the water,
Yeah.
I will not stand by the side of the water. Like, I
love
just
it,
won't
dude.
do
I
it.
love it.
And
There's just
it's only because of
something-
this, because there's not. I mean, first one has a couple, but like
Yeah.
this is like the attack in the middle of the night type shot
Hell
that I
yeah.
think of in the Jaws movies. And like, yes, is it obvious that he clearly just has his arm to the side with like the sleeve and
Yeah,
everything? Like,
it's so
yeah,
good though.
but it's like, I don't know, it works for me. And I think that like the editing of it just being like a cut per second, you just kind of see like teeth, something splashing into the
Yeah.
water. Like, I think that the first like 5-10 minutes of this movie is actually really good.
Well,
And
that's
then
the
it falls
thing.
to shit.
It is mind-blowing
And heartbreaking.
how many original scripts are written every year but are never made.
So we seek out these scripts and bring them to life with full audio production and professional actors.
Check us out at Undiscovered Scripts,
Movies made of paper.
wherever you get your podcasts.
Free.
That's the thing, and much like what we talked about last week, there's good in this.
Yeah.
There's good in this. I think the aquatic horror stuff in this is great.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of fun. But everything around it is so fucking
Yeah,
bonkers.
the chase
It's
underneath
either bonkers or it's boring.
Yeah.
Like there's no in between.
the chase under the ship, like chase through the shipwreck, I
Yep.
think is a really cool scene. Like, I
Yeah.
think that there are cool. I think that calling it the worst movie ever is like, hey,
Yeah,
you
no.
haven't watched enough bullshit straight to
Yeah.
VHS. There's some real garbage out
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Does it make no sense? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But like
yeah.
there are moments where I'm like, there's even that one scene where they are like on their way to the Bahamas, and like Ellen has like a full breakdown where she is
Yeah.
like ugly crying on
Yeah.
the boat, like on a ship looking at the water. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that is a well acted moment.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's, for how shitty this movie is, and I
Yes.
want this to be clear. I am not
not
saying this
good,
is a good
yeah.
movie, but there are good moments and like pieces in there. And that's, I think, one of the things I remember reading, and I agree, is that like as panned as this movie was, the actual score and soundtrack was like very heavily praised for like
Yeah.
taking like the original score and like kind of juicing it up with like a little bit more energy and like more strings, and like, and then even the original compositions being like I think that it's got a really good score. I really think that the shark, for the most part, looks pretty good. There are shots where
Yeah.
it's like it's flimsy as fuck, but like
But that's the whole series.
that's the whole series. But they figured out the Jaws portion of it, which always
Yep.
pulled me out, was that you had like these giant mechanical things in the side of the face that were like clear as day, and they somehow figured out a way to hide those a lot better. So like the actual face, I think, is the scariest looking shark face.
Yeah. And I mean, I love, again, to bring up aquatic horror enough that even the worst movies, I'm going to enjoy parts of. And I enjoyed that about this. The thing that I can't get behind is when audiences complain about things not being realistic. Well, it's not realistic that this thing swam all the way to the Bahamas. No shit. But that's the point. Like, I think even the original Jaws isn't that realistic. Like people who are part of shark conservationists are even like, I hate what this movie did, is it turned sharks into villains when sharks are just fucking sharks, bro. Like, I mean, they're not just gonna randomly attack somebody. So like, that's the whole point of this movie, of this series, is this shit's not realistic, bro. Like, it's not gonna be. And what I liked about Jaws the Revenge is kind of like you were just praising Jaws 2, is it takes, fuck it, this is a slasher movie and it's a shark. And this time we thought the shark was dead, even though it's a different shark. and the shark's fucking back, baby. And
Yeah.
it's taking on Manhattan, or it's taking on the Bahamas. Like, we're fucking in it. We're changing scenery, and we're fucking killing people. Let's
Yeah.
do it. And I'm for it. If it didn't have a lot of like those boring moments in between.
And
But-
it's very boring. It's a very
Yeah.
boring movie. And that
Yeah.
and that's what it comes down to is like, I mean, I didn't have to pay too much attention to this because Dylan, I may have watched this movie more than any of them except for the first one.
Yeah.
Because I saw it first and because it was like one of those things where my parents rented it, so I watched it repeatedly during the couple days that we had it rented. And
Yeah.
then, you know, I thought it was Jaws 2 for a really long time. So it was like I would
Yeah.
watch Jaws 1 and then I would watch Jaws 2, or what I thought was Jaws 2, Jaws the Revenge, and then I'm like, "Oh, there's two more in the middle?" So then
Yeah.
so then it was like, but I have never, I don't want to say never, that's probably not true. But
Yeah.
but in most cases, if I put on Jaws and I sit down and watch Jaws, maybe not in a row, but like I'm like, well, I can't watch Jaws again until I finish
Without-
the franchise. I gotta put on 2 and 3 and 4, and then I can allow myself to watch Jaws again. So I've seen this movie an absurd amount of times.
Yeah.
And
And it's weird how our brains work that way.
Yes.
Is it's like, and it's a lot of different series. It's kind of like why every Halloween I'm like, well, I can't fucking watch this one. I gotta watch the whole fucking series, even though I hate it. Like, and not that I hate it, but I mean that's kind of how our brains work. And going back to like one of my favorite things, Star Wars, is like that's what I like so much about Solo. Is like Solo you can watch by itself without me feeling like I need to watch 7 or 8 fucking movies.
Yeah.
Same deal with like the Marvel movies, and Jaws, and that's how we're gonna compare them both.
yeah, 100%. But yeah, I mean, it's a little bit Christmassy. It's Christmas time. Like I said,
Yeah.
he gets killed. They're singing First Noel. They have Christmas together at one point in the movie. There's a couple parts where people are like singing Christmas songs or whatever, but
it's Christmas as fuck, dude.
then it loses its Christmassiness.
This is
Probably
way more
midway through.
Christmas. So I think at the 45-minute mark, it is Christmas Day, and they're opening gifts and stuff.
Yeah,
So I mean, it does lose its Christmas stuff after that, but dude, first half of this movie's Christmas as shit. This is way more Christmassy than Die Hard.
yeah. Oh, I mean, you know, that is my barometer.
So like, I feel like after watching Jaws: The Revenge, I need to go back and check out Jaws 2 and Jaws 3.
Yeah.
Apparently Jaws. I didn't know that Jaws 3D takes place at SeaWorld.
Yep.
Like
Oh,
that's
oh,
fucking
Boy,
dope.
does it! Oh, Jaws 3D is all promise of a great premise.
Hell yeah.
One thing that's interesting to know when you watch Jaws 3D
Yeah.
is that it is one of the worst 3D transfers you'll ever
Oh,
get. Like it's
shit,
so
really?
what happened was that home video was not really in the back of their brain, right?
Yeah.
And they were so new to shooting 3D that like technically if you're shooting a 3D movie right now, you would
Yeah.
shoot it with the 3D cameras, but you would also have a normal camera running to get you like a good 2D version of the movie, or you would
Yeah.
digitally do it. They never shot all they had was the right eye camera and the left eye camera.
Oh,
So when it
fuck.
came time to putting it on home video, they just picked the right eye camera, which means that like if you're like looking at what would be like the 3D image of like a ship, the ship will turn and just start to like dissipate and pixelate and then like disappear for a couple seconds. Like it's insane to watch how bad it is. But I will say, in comparison to like Friday the 13th 3D or Amityville 3D, like they used the 3D more seamlessly
Yeah.
in the sense of like they're at SeaWorld, like let's get a 3D shot of like Shamu bursting out of the water up at the camera. Like there's like a lot of that versus
Yeah.
like a lot of the other horror 3D movies are like, look at this paddle ball. Like
Fuck you. I love Friday the 13th Part 3.
I mean, it's just as bad in Amityville 3D.
yeah.
Amityville 3D has the slowest frisbee throw I've ever seen in my entire life. That's only in there to get a 3D shot of a frisbee being thrown. Like
Nice.
it's rough.
I don't
But yeah,
think I've ever seen Amityville 3D.
you
I
don't
will
need to
say-
see any of the Amityville movies. You
Yeah,
could
I don't.
just-
I think I'm gonna not.
Maybe
I will say.
maybe
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
maybe check out Amityville 1996. or
Okay.
1992. 1992. It's about time. It's about a possessed clock, and it's got some crazy kills in it. Dylan, I got nothing.
I'm thinking Shark Week, which
Oh.
is at the end of July.
All right.
Okay.
Happy early Shark Week, Dylan.
We may we may have to break out some Santa Jaws. That's all I'm saying.
Oh man, we're gonna do 2 shark movies in a single July.
Dude.
That sounds horrible, Dylan.
Fine. I'll see if I can convince you over the next couple of weeks. But dude, Merry Jawsmas.
Yeah, Merry Jawsmas, I suppose.
Oh, whoa, oh, now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Have a happy holly, have a great, great, great holly, have a merry, 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 happy holiday.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.